Our story is entitled, There is No King as Great as God. Once upon a time, a great king lived in West Africa. People would come to ask for his help in many things. As they entered the king's rich palace, the people would shout, "Long live the king! Long live the king!" Other people would call out, "We hope the king will live forever." The king always felt proud when he heard this, and he would smile at the people. So here we have the people shouting, and here we have the king there, looks pleased. He has his royal guards around him. One day, a special man came before the king. "There is no king as great as God," he shouted. The people in the palace could not believe it. They thought that the man must have made a mistake. "This is a foolish man," they said to themselves. "He does not know the right thing to say to the king." So here we have the man. The king looks surprised, the people look surprised. But the next time the man came to the palace, he said the same thing again. "There is no king as great as God," he called out in a loud voice. The people wondered how he could make the same mistake again. After all, everybody knew that they should say, "Long live the king," or "We hope the king will live forever." The king's men were very surprised to hear the man speak like this again. They looked at their king to see what he would do. The king did nothing. He was a proud king, so he behaved as if nothing was wrong. The king thought about this for a while. The people believe that this man is very brave, he said to himself. They might think that anyone who says there is no king as great as God is braver than me. I must think of a way to trick this man so that I can kill him. This special man came to the king's palace very often, and every time he came, the same thing happened. "There is no king as great as God," he would shout. All over the country, people began to talk about this special man. They did not even know his name, but they called him the Brave One. They said that only a brave man could speak like that in front of the king. The king's men were very angry. "Great king," said the men, "this man is mad. He will soon make the people laugh at you. Something must be done about him." So one day the king sent for the man called the Brave One. "You are so brave," the king said to the man, "that I am going to give you a present." The king took out 2 pieces of gold and gave them to him. "Take these," he said. "They have my name on them. If you keep them safe, I will know that you are a very good man." So here is the king talking to him, and here are the 2 gold pieces. The man felt very happy as he took home the pieces of gold and showed them to his wife. "The king gave me these pieces of gold," he said. "He gave them to me because he thinks I am a brave and good man. I will put them in a safe place, and you must watch over them whenever I am away." Soon after that, the king sent for the Brave One once again. "I have some important work to be done in another town," said the king. "I need a good man to do it. You will have to be away for a little while, but I know you are the best man for the job." The man was very happy to think that the king wanted him to do important work. So after telling his wife about the job, he set off for the other town. As soon as the Brave One had gone, the king sent his men to the man's wife. They showed her precious stones and beautiful clothes. So here we have the men, the precious stones and the beautiful clothes. Yes. They told her that the king would give her all these things if only she would give back the golden pieces. At first, the man's wife didn't want to do this. She knew that the brave one would be angry, but then she said to herself, I am sure that all these precious stones and beautiful clothes are more important than just 2 pieces of gold. And what is more, the gold came from the king himself. He must have a right to take it back. So at last, she said she would give the king the gold. The king smiled when his men brought him the golden pieces. Take these, he said, and drop them into a pond. Make sure that it is such a big pond that nobody will ever find these 2 pieces of gold again. The king's men did as the king told them. But a strange thing happened. Just as the gold dropped into the water, a great fish came swimming by. The pieces of gold fell right into the fish's mouth. The king's men went back to the palace and told the king that nobody could ever find the gold again. At last, the brave one was coming home after doing the special job. On the way, he met some friends. They were glad to see him and invited him to go fishing with them. As the brave one was not far from home, he went with them. They sat on the banks of a big pond, and while they fished, the man told his friends about the job he had done for the king. Everybody but the brave one caught some fish. His friends teased him in a friendly way. You have been away too long, they said. You have forgotten how to fish. Were there no rivers or ponds in that part of the country? So here we can see the picture here. These guys were catching fish. Just at that time, the brave one felt something on his line. He pulled it in and found that he had caught a big lovely fish. The brave one took the fish home. I'm home, he called to his wife, and I have brought you a fish for dinner. His wife was happy to see him. You must be very hungry, for you have come a far way, she said. I will cook some yams while you cut up the fish. The brave one began to cut the fish into pieces. Suddenly, his knife hit something hard. He looked inside the fish and saw there were 2 pieces of gold. The pieces of gold had the king's name on them. He knew that it was the gold that the king had told him to keep safe. He was surprised because he told his wife to watch over them. I do not know how this could have happened, he said to himself. But this shows there is no king as great as God. Then he called to his wife. My dear, he said, is my gold safe? Oh, she replied with tears in her eyes. I do not know where they are. I believe a rat has taken them because I cannot find them anywhere. But when the man saw her beautiful new clothes, he knew that something strange had happened while he was away. The man was angry with his foolish wife, but he said nothing. He waited to see what would happen. He did not have to wait long. The next day, the king's men came to call him to the palace. When he got there, the king spoke to him. You are a brave man, said the king. You have done your job well. I have another present for you. But first I must know if you still have the gold that I gave you. Suddenly, the king's men all jumped at the same time and stood around the brave one. They were ready to kill him, as they were sure that he did not have the gold. Let's go back to this picture. So here we have the king's men ready to pounce on him. They knew that their king had tricked the man, but the brave one did not look frightened. To everyone's surprise, he took the gold pieces from the bag and gave them to the king. The king could not believe it. He looked at the gold pieces again and again, but there was no mistake. His name was on the gold. You are right, he said to the brave one. There is no king as great as God. Then all the people shouted, there is no king as great as God. Well, said the king to the brave one, not only are you a brave and good man, You are a wise man. I will make you the prime minister of my country. And he did. So to wrap this story up, I need you guys to do a summary. Please remember the following questions: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Remember the characters, the setting, the plot. And finally, what is the story telling us? What is the main idea? What is the moral that we can get from this story? All right, guys, take care. I'll see you in the next episode.